The Mercedes-AMG E63S comes a long time after the wider world had its first Lotus Carlton moment. I wonder if it will have another. When will it sit up with a start and say, a 600 bhp, 190 miles per hour family saloon car? Are you completely mad? Anyway, here is a 600 bhp family saloon. There are so many new cars. So many new Mercedes cars. You'd almost be forgiven for patting it on the head gently, knowingly, as it passes. Another new AMG. Welcome to the world, son. We know your brothers, dominated by their engines, lots of tire smoke, that sort of thing. Sit yourself in that little niche over there, the one marked hot rod. Well, don't. This car isn't like other recent AMGs. Well, it is, but it's not only like other AMGs. There's a bit more to it than that. Mechanically, there's a fair degree of what you know. The basis is the latest generation Mercedes-Benz E-Class saloon. The design has been given the expected tweaks. It's subtle, muscular, more pumped up in the wheel arches, where it's 11 mm wider to accommodate a wider track and 265/35 front and 295/30 rear 20 inches tires. There's a diffuser, big exhausts and a lip spoiler on the saloon. An Estate will follow late next year. Under the red-sculpted bonnet is the latest iteration of AMG's 4.0-liter, twin-turbocharged V8. New for this E63 is that the hot turbos, which sit within the V rather than down by the sides of the cylinders, where the center of gravity would be lower, are twin-scroll units. So they have two tubes through them, each one putting air to two cylinders. So yes, while the center of gravity is higher, bad, and the air perhaps hotter, also bad, the paths from turbo to cylinder are much shorter, which makes for improved throttle response times, good. It keeps the engine more compact, too. There are also two power outputs, 563 bhp as standard, or 603 bhp in the S version. The V8 drives through a 9-speed automatic gearbox. The first time Mercedes' 9-speed box has been engineered to cope with this much torque. And if the E63S makes a lot of anything, it's torque, 627 pounds-feet of it, from 2,500 to 4,500 revolutions per minute. It's an automatic transmission rather than a dual-clutch unit, but instead of a torque converter, it gets a wet clutch. In right-hand drive versions of the last E63, power went only to the rear wheels, but in other markets the car was mostly four-wheel drive. In fact, globally, 90% of all E63s sold drove through all four wheels. This time they all will, even the right hookers. At the back of the gearbox is a clutch, through the middle of which runs a prop shaft to the back wheels. In everyday mooching, the E63 is rear-wheel drive. But as the clutch starts to engage, as much as 50% of the power will go to the front. Theoretically, were the rear's tires on ice and the front tires on flypaper, all power would go to the fronts, but practically, 50-50 is the maximum split. At the back, meanwhile, there's a limited slip differential, which is mechanically controlled on the non-S variant but electronically controlled on the S. There are also a number of drive modes, culminating in race, after which you can switch out the stability controls to either sport mode or all off, and after you've done that you can enter drift mode, which basically always disconnects the front wheels, to let the E63 do what AMGs have been doing for years, smoking up tires. Other things to note, before we move on? The body shell has been stiffened with the addition of a couple of braces. AMG won't say exactly by how much. Apparently it's not as simple as that, because it depends where you measure it. And there are air springs all round. Prices won't be announced until early next year, but an S is likely to be around £83,000.